You eat, what is prasadam? It's just sitting there at the supermarket or Trader Joe's, it's boga. What is the difference? Whoa, king size. Thank you very much. That's kind of you. I was just thinking about that. No, you put it right there. It's perfect. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, and then let me just finish. Thank you, though. So, if you eat off a diseased person's plate, you catch a disease. Every disease has symptoms. What makes the difference between boga and prasadam? What turns ordinary foodstuff into prasadam? Yeah, Krishna tastes it. So when we take prasadam, of course we don't eat right off the deity's plate, but we transfer. So we're actually eating off Krishna's plate, right? Now, if you eat off a diseased person's plate, you catch their disease. If you eat off Krishna's plate, Prabhupada said, you catch Krishna's disease. And then Prabhupada said, every disease has symptoms. So what are the symptoms of Krishna's disease? Then Prabhupada said, Sat Chit Ananda. And then, just to double down, Prabhupada said, and there is no cure once you get Krishna's disease. So do we have a pair of kartals in the house? No. And I'm looking at myself too. We forgot to bring kartals. Do we have kartals? What? They're going to revoke my sannyas license. I'm traveling without kartals. So we can do by hand. Why not? Huh? So I don't know how many of you know what. I see a number of you have tilak on. The first is a short prayer to the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, my spiritual master. And then we offer a short prayer to Krishna come again as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How does Bhagavad Gita conclude? Anyone know the conclude? Not the last verse that Sanjaya is speaking to. But wherever there's Krishna, wherever there's Arjuna, there's victory, morality, opulence, and extraordinary strength. But what is the philosophical conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? Oh, really? I'm very impressed. You just surrender unto me. Become my devotee. Nasucha, don't hesitate, don't wait, don't fear. But Prabhupada said that's where Bhagavad Gita ends. The conversation Krishna and Arjuna. But then, how to surrender to Krishna? What does that actually mean? Become my devotee. So where Bhagavad Gita ends, just surrender unto me, become my devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna come again, showing us how to be a devotee. Just like Prabhupada, I heard him in the lecture, he said, it's like if you take sometimes the teacher will take the student's hand with a chalk. Say, no, A, B. It's not that the teacher's learning the ABCs, but the teacher is showing by example. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna come again, 500 years ago. For a number of his esoteric reasons, he has exoteric reasons for appearing, to give the Yuga Dharma. And so we're going to chant a prayer to Lord Chaitanya and his associates, a short prayer, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda. And then we'll chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which I think you all know, right? 3 simple words. What is it? 32 words? No, 16 words, 32 syllables. Hare Krishna. Okay. Now let's see. All right. This is like Manasa Ganga in Vrindavan. So this is call response, you know. I say, then you say. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam. So I'll go first, then you follow me, and off we go. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nivasesa Sunyavari Paskachari Satarini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Nivasesa Sunyavari Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Boom! Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanandi. I should introduce myself. My name is Badrinarayan Swami. I'm born in California. I met Srila Prabhupada in 1969. I became his initiated disciple in the early 1971. I have served as a temple president in a number of different places. If you wonder why I've got gray hair, each one has a name on it. I can tell you where I got it. And I am a member of ISKCON's governing body, our international governing body. And I oversee our temples in the Western USA. I was on a morning walk with Srila Prabhupada. Help me remember, I wanted the Sanskrit scholar and how do you pronounce Krishna. I thought I would share some Prabhupada stories and then a little philosophy along with that. So I was on a morning walk in Detroit with Srila Prabhupada, a number of devotees. And I was the president of a small preaching center at Ann Arbor, Michigan, University of Michigan. It was fantastic. It was so much fun. And we just opened the temple, and we made a few new devotees. There were about 6 devotees living. It was our community. We had a little congregation, but 6 full-time devotees. And I was feeling very full of myself. And I was actually looking for a compliment. They call it fishing for a compliment. I was trying to set it up so Prabhupada would say something. Don't try to gain, not a good idea. So I said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I'm one of your temple presidents. What does that mean? And I thought he would say, it means you're one of my leaders. You're on the cutting edge of, pushing Mahaprabhu's mission forward. I thought it's something like that. Who knows what I was thinking. He stopped, put his cane down, sized me up. I was a young man. Let that be a lesson. I was young at one time. I was a young man, full of myself. Prabhupada put his cane down, sized me up, and said, it means if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. Which was fantastic. It was actually what it means. It was actually, it wasn't just frivolous, it was good advice, but it put me right in my place. I was, jeez. I was glad. Kids okay? All right. You have to worry about kids when they're quiet, isn't it? I raised 2 kids. I know what it's like. It means, man, they're up to something. So I was just thinking about this because we're chanting Hare Krishna. And I was in Prabhupada's room, this was in Detroit, and a Sanskrit professor, again trying to impress Prabhupada, he said, I say, Swamiji, is it Krishna? Is it Krishna? Is it Krishna? Prabhupada said, don't worry, he knows who's calling. You know, what is it? There's there's so many wonderful sutras in Prabhupada's writings. You want to advance in spiritual life. People say to me, well, I'll finish this. There's a quality of utterance. Quality of utterance. That's what attracts Krishna, the purity in the heart. I mean, Krishna, you can be Devarsa Muni and Ambarish. Hare Krishna, folks. Devarsa Muni and Ambarish. You know, Devarsa Muni had, 60,000 disciples? He could travel by mystic power throughout the existence. He even traveled into the spiritual world and darshan of Krishna himself, Lord Vishnu. You know the difference between Vishnu and Krishna? You may know that Vishnu, generally speaking, appears with 4 hands. So many different things. I had someone ask Prabhupada this. I heard Prabhupada, that's a fantastic answer. On one hand, there's no difference between Vishnu and Krishna. Narayan, Vishnu, and Krishna. Prabhupada said that that Narayan or Vishnu is God at the office. God at the office, maintaining everything, running everything, sustaining everything. He said, and Krishna is God at home. He's just playing. He's just at home. And I'll tell you a joke. If you don't, Prabhupada liked a good joke. That there was a Vaishnava, to make the point, there was a, Krishna Bhakta, a Vaishnava, from Vrindavan, Brajbasi. And he was invited to a religious conference in Rome by the Pope, ecumenical group. This is the joke. Although our Yudhisthira Govinda, I think I sent that to you, one of our devotees just had a nice talk with the Pope. So, anyway, this Krishna Bhakta in the story goes to see the Pope. And so many other religious speakers are there, and, ultimately it's all impersonalism, that how can the infinite have a form? Remind me, we want to talk about that. How can an infinite have a form? How can you limit the unlimited into a space and it's always the same thing. It's always the beyond form is the great light. We'll get back to the joke in a second, but let me ask you a question, because the challenge is, because we're saying, what is it? Brahmaniti, Paramaniti, Bhagavaniti, Shabhyate. That the absolute truth is realized on 3 levels. All pervasive inside every atom. That's the Paramatma, the super soul, in everyone's heart. Krishna's in the heart of all. He's the Chaita Guru, who's in the heart, giving direction. And he also has his own place in pastimes. Can you tell me something that we see? He's chewing on something. Can you tell me something that we see practically every day? It's a big hint, my friends. That is both present, all present, and yet localized. Because the challenge is, how can God be present everywhere and in all things and have his place and his Sham Sundar dancing, and he's got his place, Goloka Vrindavan? How is it possible? So, what is something you see every day? And if you get the wrong answer, you still get prasadam. Don't worry, we'll still be friends. There's no pressure here. Who said sun? Defend your answer. You're right, don't worry. How is it possible? Present everywhere, and yet it's localized. Explain yourself. Yeah, if I travel to San Diego, the sun's over my head. If I travel to New York, the sun's over me. It's present everywhere. But how is it localized? There it is. There's a joke I'll tell some other time about the Polish space program. People have been to the moon, so they say. They've been to Mars, so they say. So the Polish, you don't get any credit if you don't do something new. So they said, okay, we're going to go to the sun. People said, you can't go to the sun, you'll burn up. They said, you think we're dummies? We're going at night. It's an old joke. It's an old joke. But the sun, it has a place. You can point to it. Now we know, on a higher dimension. Remind me, I want to talk about higher dimensions too. On higher dimensions, there's Vivishwan, there's a whole thing going on there. I always love it when they say there's no life in the cosmos that we know of. They always say that. There's no life that we know of. Okay, what about life you don't know of? In other words, not everybody, I guess I'll say the dimensional thing because I wanted to get into it. What's your name, sir? Ashish. So Ashish, what's a main intersection in Portland, downtown Portland? Main intersection, 2 streets. Doesn't matter, just pick 2 streets. But they have to intersect. Anybody want to help him out? What are 2? Yes?
185th and West Union.
All right. Suppose, way to go. You're better. You're better than a GPS,
That's where she lives.
Oh, that's where you live. Okay, well, that makes it. And we know you can find your way home. So I say, Ashish, let's meet there tomorrow. 9 a.m. on the northwest corner. That's pretty specific, right? We know the cross, the grid. We know which corner. We have the time. You're a responsible person. He shows up 10 minutes early, contrary to Indian Standard Time. He shows up 10 minutes early. He's waiting. It gets to be 9:15, 9:20. No, Swami. Well, you're a busy man. Whatever. Something must have happened. So off you go. We meet later on, and I say, Ashish, where were you? I was there, northwest corner, 9 a.m. He's a responsible man. He's on his face. Oh, well, I was also there. How is it possible that we were both there? It's a fact, that a priori, established fact, at 9 a.m. in the morning, on the corner of whatever those 2 streets were, northwest corner, we were both there at 9 o'clock, and we didn't see each other. And I had a kid tell me, oh, yeah, you were facing the opposite direction. We did a 360 inventory, okay. So how is it possible that we missed each other? It is possible. What's that? No, right date. Everything was correct. It's a good guess, though. We knew him. I know him. He's got, I'm pretty obvious. He's not hard to pick out of a crowd. What if he's on the ground floor and I'm on the 5th floor? On 2 dimensions, only width and depth, we should be there. You add the dimension of height, all of a sudden, in 2 dimensions, we're in the same place. 3 dimensions, we don't even cross paths. And even in modern physics, Einstein, we live in a multi-dimensional universe. You add the dimension of time. There's so many different dimensions. So the fact of the matter is the mystic presentation of the Bhagavatam is based on the fact that we live in a multi-dimensional universe. So these different Varsa yogis traveling, by the river Jamuna or coming down on the Sushumara, coming down through the cosmos. If you're operating on that other dimension, multi-dimensions, then that's happening. So how is it possible? Back to the original point. So my point is that we live in a multi-dimensional universe. We live in a mystical universe. And we're in a small corner of it. We're like a horse with blinders on, and we're saying, well, I don't. Suppose I had, horse blinders? They're actually supposed to calm the horse, I think, from distract. So I have horse blinders on. I can see you, and I can see to you. So I got 3 of you in mine. All the rest of you don't exist. No prasadam for you tonight. Will you accept that? Say, yeah, Swami, but... So, because I can't see it, we have to accept that we are limited, which is extremely difficult. We heard a door. Now, you think it was a door opening. Do you know who opened the door? Where's that young boy? Oh, he's innocent. So, you can't see it. Maybe it was the front door. I don't know what's happening on the other side of this wall. I don't know so many things. Suppose before I got here, I'm going to pick on you. Yeah, you. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt. Before I got here, because the argument is we are limited and we're trying to understand the unlimited. Right? Seems like a contradiction. We're limited. How do we? And we're trying to do it by acquired knowledge. Each generation adds to the body of knowledge. We stand on the shoulders of giants. Sure, there's accumulated knowledge of humankind. I accept that. If I'm pole vaulting, suppose I'm a pole vaulter, and I looked it up, and I've forgotten what it is. You can Google it, but in the 1932 Olympics or whatever it was, when they restarted them, the top pole vaulter was 14 feet. Something like that. Close. Now, with special shoes and special training and new fiberglass poles, and I think they're up to, I think it's 20 plus. So by incrementally, they made advancement, right? Right? So in the same way, each generation we're learning more. Eventually, we'll understand all the secrets of the universe. We'll have it all down. Now, does anyone, yes, we accept incremental increases in knowledge. And we're grateful. I have a pacemaker. I'm not complaining about modern science. But my point is, does anyone ever think that they'll be able to pole vault to the moon? What do you think? It's not going to happen. You may have incremental increases. It may continually grow in increments, but it's never going to go that far. So how does the limited, which we are in so many ways, we have a tendency to forget, we have a tendency to be illusion, we have a tendency to cheat, we have fallible senses. So how does the limited, if we're honest with ourselves, and no one's a Renaissance man. Prabhupada told a joke. As I said, I was going to tell some Prabhupada pastimes. But help me get back to this. Sure, this young lady as the villain. We'll get back to it. There was a man traveling with a friend, traveling on a train in India. Now, I first went to India in 1973, probably before many of you were born. And they were coal-burning trains. Now most of them are electrical or diesel or whatever they are, but it was coal burning in those days. And if you had a white dhoti and kurta on, and you traveled a distance, it was. I remember washing my dhoti and watching the drain water come. I thought, whoa, So, and those cinders would come in that black smoke, right? So they don't want to get the two men are riding in a compartment in a train. And they don't want to get all black, so they've got the window shut. But you know how it is in India, a little fan never works, and they're what to do. So they opened the window for some fresh air, and some of that smoke came in. A man got a cinder in his eye. It's very painful. He said, oh, geez, it's extremely painful. So what to do? His other friend went to look for a doctor. Went through all the different bogies, the different compartments. Couldn't find a doctor. Finally, this is Prabhupada's joke. I heard him tell it. Finally got to the last compartment, and it was all doctors going to a medical convention. There was an oncologist, there was a cardiologist, there was a podiatrist, there was so many. No eye doctor. Finally, he found one ophthalmologist. An eye doctor. I'm in good shape. Brought the eye doctor up. He looked at the man with a cinder in his eye and said, it's in the left eye. I'm a right eye specialist. My point being is that even you're expert in your field, they're narrow. Rupa Manohar? He was a top scientist at Scripps Institute, and he studied certain types of lasers that go through certain types of crystals. It was all very, it was a subset of a subset of a subset of a subset. So to understand everything and find out the secrets of the universe, it's pretty bombastic and unrealistic. So back to you. What's your name? Payanita. All right. Suppose before I got here, you had poured glue on this seat. You would never do it, don't worry. I don't think you look sneaky. But she'd poured glue on this seat. Quick drying, glue's all. And I sit down on that seat, and I'm glued to the seat. Now, what's your name, sir? That's a long one. Mine's Badrinarayan Swami. We met you. So suppose I wanted to shake your hand. Now I'm fixed. I'm limited. I can practice yoga. I can get my back fixed. I may get a couple more inches. But can I, by extending my hand, I'm glued, I'm fixed, can I shake hands with him? Oh, we have many no advocates. Do we have any yes advocates? Ah, yes, Mataji.
If he comes to me,
Way to go. It's a visual. Stand up. Do you mind? If he comes to me, I don't bite. I'm vegetarian. Nice to meet you, sir. It becomes very easy if he takes the initiative. So we've established there is the absolute truth can be present everywhere and still be Shamasundar Govinda in the spiritual world. And while we may not, with our own straining our brain and figuring it out, but if Krishna, it's revelatory. It's called avaroha and aroha. There's deductive and inductive. So there's ascending and descending knowledge. The Vedas describe it that way. If Krishna takes the initiative and chooses to reveal himself to it, who can say that Krishna can't from within the heart or appear before me? If the absolute is unlimited, and yet they say, oh, but he can't have a form, he can't have a place, he can't reveal himself. Well, what kind of... Prabhupada says, I love you, but you're deaf, dumb, blind, lame. What is that? God has no form, he has no voice, he has no sound, he has no touch, he has no heart. Well, what kind of God is that? So we believe, not we believe, because we actually experience it. The more you advance, you experience it. There's a phenomenon called rati. For how many points have I given? I've given you 2 minutes to back up? Oh, very good. Thanks. Rati means the dawning of love of God. People used to say to Prabhupada, can you show me God? Prabhupada had so many great answers. Malati Devi told me, Prabhupada's in London. If you've ever been to Bhaktivedanta Manor, not Soho Street. Soho's, a beautiful Radha Landanishwar. But Radha Gokulananda, that's our beautiful Radha Krishna out on the farm from George Harrison, out on the country retreat. Prabhupada's in the back. The Vyasasan's in the back. The altar's in the front. It's a small temple room, actually. Temple room is packed. It's an actual event. Malati told me she was there. So Prabhupada's here, sitting on the Vyasasan, giving his talk, calls for questions and answers. Radha Gokulananda are here, beautiful deities at the end. And a man stands up in the middle and says, can you see God? Prabhupada said, yes, but you're standing in the way. Sit down. We just put the guy right in his place, So sometimes they would say to Prabhupada, can you show me God? Prabhupada said, that's not the question. The stock answer is you have to have the eyes to see God. If your eye is contaminated, if it's infected, you can't see anything? Doesn't mean the thing's not there because you can't see it. If your eye is anointed with the pulp of love, then you can see Krishna. And if Krishna wants you to see him, it's revelatory. That was the point. Krishna has to appear before us. Krishna's not like, blow a dog whistle and Krishna shows up. It doesn't work like that. But the other answer, sometimes what Prabhupada say, people say, can you show me God? Prabhupada would say, that's not the right question. The question is, why can't you see God? Krishna's the light of the sun and the moon. He's the pure taste in water. He's the ability in all people. So many ways. He's the original fragrance of the earth. If you have the eyes to see. I was sitting in Prabhupada's room. He was peeling a tangerine. You know tangerine? They call it an orange in India, but we're talking about nice tangerine. So Prabhupada was peeling it. And he said, how can they say there's no God? He said, it comes so nicely packaged. And you think about it, we're going to be buried and die under plastic. But Krishna has a nice wrapper. It's, organic, it's biodegradable, it enriches the soil. You can even make you chop it very small, you can make a nice marmalade or jam out of it. Completely useful. And it's individual servings, right? It comes in segments. It has a seed inside. It can produce a whole other unlimited tangerine tree. Not unlimited. According to the number of seeds, you can get tangerine seeds. Oh. Suppose you wanted to open a Mercedes car dealership. Can you buy 2 Mercedes, put them in the garage, and come back later on, you'll have a baby Mercedes? I mean, it's it's a little more complicated, obviously, but just the mystic power of God. I'll give you a mind blower. It rained. This is from my old friend who's passed away, Sadhaputta Prabhu. Double PhD, tenured professor at Cornell University at 32 years old, PhD in statistics, and the other was in theoretical physics. This man was a genius. And I'll tell you something about him. He could pack away prasadam. He piles of khichdi. And it was always a mystery to Dravida. Dravida's my good friend, and he's a Sanskrit editor for our BBT, senior Sanskrit editor. And I always wondered, where does it go? Because he was thin as a rail. And then I remember reading something that the brain burns the most energy of all the organs. Yeah, I'm checking with our doctor here. If you don't know, I'm going to say it. Up there. Let's say it's up there. And so he had that big brain. I thought he's got that genius brain that's where all the calories are going. That's how he's burning up those 3 plates of khichdi, But it's just fantastic when you think about it. It rained in San Diego, which is an event of note. And it rained, I think, like a quarter of an inch. In India, they even measure a quarter. It's not even, what is that, So, but they measure it in San Diego. And it rained in Riverside, San Diego, Orange County, covered some area. But hey, to be conservative, you can get the square footage, square miles, or whatever it is, of San Diego County. So he figured out the surface area of San Diego County. Then he figured out how much rain it would take to cover that with a quarter of an inch. Remember his degree, PhD in statistics, he got into it. And then there's an average weight for water. A gallon of water weighs, you can Google it, I think it's 9 or 10 pounds, something like that. There's heavy water for nuclear reactors. Yeah, work with me, folks. But it's about 9 pounds. I'd say 10 pounds. But to be conservative, let's say 9. So, and it was billions of tons of water had poured over just San Diego County. We're being conservative. We're not counting all the other counties. Now that water was floating in the sky in the form of clouds. Now suppose, Badrinarayan Swami, you're sitting here and I go, Om, and this glass of water floats up and pours into my mouth. Would you be impressed? Hey, I'd be impressed, So, but I don't know what, this doesn't even weigh a pound. And, and you get these yogis, they can levitate a little something and, he must be Bhagawan, and they make some little plastic jewelry. Let's give them credit. They make a little gold jewelry. What about the gold mine? What about, who's making that? Let's talk about that one for a minute. You made a little piece of gold and you're Bhagawan. So, if seeing God everywhere is my point, the mystic potency of God is all around us if we're just honest and have the eyes to see. Who is that personality that's floating billions of tons of water and just floating them in the sky? And and it's Prabhupada calls it Parameshwar. It means Krishna is the control of all things. Om Purnamada Purnamidam from Ishopanishad, that everything is a complete unit emanating from the absolute complete unit. Think about it. You know why there's salt in the ocean? I didn't know. Prabhupada says, this is the Vedic view. It both acts as a preservative and it controls the rate of distillation. So the sun is shining on the ocean, right? Water comes up in the form of, evaporation. goes into the clouds. It's blown by the clouds, and it catches on the mountains. There's always a, what do they call it, not wet side or dry side. They have the watershed side, what do they call it, on a mountain, So it's catching on the mountain. All the rain comes out on the mountain. When it pounds on the mountain, it gets all the minerals come out of the mountain, and they flow down onto the fertile field. Fertilize all the soil, all the plants, water them all, takes away all the waste and sewage, and drops them on the bottom of the ocean. And it's a perpetual motion machine. And that happened by chance? I'll give you another example, and then I think we'll take some questions. Maybe I'll tell one more Prabhupada story, and then we'll take some questions. Because I don't have a clock. I don't know what's happening here. And Govardhan knows this. He's very patient. This is my travel partner, Govardhan Prabhu. It's a true story. Canned corn. Libby's canned corn. Now, we Vaishnavas, anything we offer to Krishna, we want as fresh and as clean as possible. But canned corn. On the label with the instructions. Open can, put in a saucepan, heat to taste. You would think a trained chimp, highly trained chimp, lots of bananas, well motivated, could pull that off, right? It's a true story. They thought, well, this is on our can, and we've got the instructions there. It's a waste of space. We could use this space for something else. Let's put some other advertisement and say, why waste it? They took off the instructions of how to heat Libby's canned corn. Flooded with letters. People trying how to get it open with their teeth, stick it in the microwave, blowing things up. It was chaos across America. These people are driving cars and voting for president. That's another issue. But how the simplest thing, canned corn, comes with instruction. And we think, accepting that there's a creation, there's a cause, there's a design. Design means designer. Wherever you see pattern, symmetry, wherever you see pattern and order, there's intelligence behind it. That is our experience. We came here now. There's a nice altar, there's water, there's a garland, there's a microphone. You all have places to sit. Did that happen by chance? What do you think? There's intelligence. I challenge you. You can think about it. I'll give you my email address. You can get it from Jai Sachi Prabhu. If you can give me an example of anywhere that you experience order and pattern and symmetry and design, that there's not an intelligence behind it. That's our experience. Like this cat. Somebody designed this building. Somebody, So if we accept that there's a design, it means that behind it there's an intelligence. We are in this world with no instruction. That's back to the can with no guidance. We're just cast adrift. The deist, George Washington was a deist. The idea is that the world is a clock, the cosmos is a clock, and God wound it up and then just let it run. Well, they believe so many things, But what kind of, if there actually is a Supreme Lord, cause of all causes, he's left us here afloat on our own, work it out? Isn't it much more logical? I'll give you just one more supporting point of that. We study laws of physics, laws of chemistry, laws of mathematics. Gravity. We count on it. I did this morning. I thought, okay, when I get out of bed and put my feet on the floor, I'm going to be able to stand up. And things are going to be, they're not going to be, We live based on the principle that there's laws that operate in this universe. Now, we're up for laws of physics. You've got, matter moving through time and space, and it's governed by all kinds of laws. We're also matter. We're spirit soul, but we're entities moving through time and space. Everything else operates and is controlled by laws. We're the one entity that there's no laws that govern us. There's no karma. There's no action, reaction. As you sow is so, shall you reap. Share with me the seamless logic of that. My point is that the conviction that there's a supreme Lord, cause of all causes, and that there's a design and a purpose of this world. That is not blind faith. That is not sentiment. That's not something my grandmother told me. It is the most profound, common sense, logical conclusion. And on that happy note, we will take some questions. Yeah. I knew I forgot something. Oh, the Pope. All right. This one doesn't come from Prabhupada. I heard this one from Shivaram Swami. You know Shivaram Swami? He's my sannyas guru, and he's a wonderful, saintly person. So, a Brajbasi, Krishna Bhakta from Vrindavan, is invited, it's the ecumenical council, and he goes to the Vatican. And everyone's presenting their different ideas. They're almost 90% impersonalism, voidism. God is an old man with a beard. Now, God is suppose I had, along with my ability to float water, I could poof, and you became 90 years old. Would you like it? Tell me the truth. No way, man. I'm 71, and it's no barrel of laughs. So, how is it that the all-powerful, how is it that the source of all life is old and aged? Share with me the logic of that. Doesn't make any sense at all. Shouldn't this, how is it that, and let's be honest. People have internal beauty. That's another issue. But you get old and wrinkled and gray. It's not like you're a model pinup. I don't know who's big now. Used to be, what's his name? See, they all go. It's all fading. Brad, what's his Pitt? Or whatever. I don't know whoever it is, He's probably old now. I don't know. He's getting gray. But how is it that the source of all beauty is unattractive, old and wrinkled and aged? How is it the source of all life is old? Can you help me out with the seamless logic of that? Shouldn't the source of all life be youthful? Shouldn't Krishna means all attractive? Shouldn't God be the most beautiful? Is that a far-fetched leap of logic? That makes complete. When you actually strip it down and think about it without a bias, it makes complete sense that Krishna. And let me ask you another question: what happens if you catch somebody who spends their whole time looking in other people's windows? What is that person? We used to call him a peeping Tom when I was a kid. I don't know what they call him. What do you call him? A voyeur is, I think, the official term. What happens if you have somebody's running around the neighborhood looking in everybody's window? What happens? You call the police. This guy's I don't want to get, he's obviously in mental disturbance. Lock the guy up. And God's only what do you call somebody who has no friends but just goes to the dance and is watching everybody dance? Called a wallflower, isn't it? So God, the cause of all causes, the source of all. If I have a set of numbers, and I take a subset of those numbers, can I have anything in that subset that's not in the original set? Yeah, that's simple algebra, right? Prabhupada puts it Vedas put it in a more, graphic. If I take a drop of water from the ocean, anything in the drop has to come from the ocean, So we have form, we have personality, we have relationships. That's the very sense of personhood, that I have form and shape. I'll get back to the joke in a minute. I have form and shape and relationships and emotions. The cause of me, the original set, we're all, aham savasha prabhaho mata sarvam parvartate, everything absent is for the absolute truth. Savasha chaham hridi. Oh, anyway, we could go on. But the point is that how is it that the cause of us, and we have personalities, that's our very, if people treat us don't treat me like a number. I'm a person. I've got emotions here. Come on. And the source of us has no emotion, has no love, has no compassion, has no interaction, is simply floating up in the sky like the wallflower, watching everybody else, like a fish tank or an ant farm. Help me, how is that logical? Isn't it far more logical that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, has his own place, has his own pastimes, is all attractive, never ages, and that kingdom of God is eternal? That is not blind faith or sentiment or wishful thinking. It is profoundly logical. In fact, it's the only logical conclusion if we're consistent in our logic. They just don't like where it leads. They don't like where it leads because they think if there's God, I've got to follow, and I want to do my own sweet thing, which usually means something foolish and they get kicked in the head. So to end what I wanted to end with, back to the can of Libby's canned corn and the instruction. The fact of the matter is, Bhagavad Gita is the owner's manual for life in this world. It is the Rosetta Stone. It's the entrance into the Vedas. It explains all that. If you want us to understand the Puranas, the Upanishads, you have to understand Bhagavad Gita. It's the foundation. It's the, time, the living entity, the Supreme Lord, karma, and time. Time is this mixing the whole thing, like the brew. That's existence. It's the basis of Shankar Yoga. And it's all there in Bhagavad Gita. So my humble appeal to you, obviously you're devotees, you have some inclination in spiritual life, or you're dedicated, please read Bhagavad Gita. Every day. Drops of water wear away stone, Prabhupada said. And don't, I got to read so many pages a day. That's good to set a mark like that. But if you just read 5 minutes a day before you go to work, just open up Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita is like a sugar tree. I don't have the Latin name. I want to get the Latin name. Evidently, it's a type of tree in India that whether it's the roots, the leaves, the bark, whatever it is, any part of it tastes sweet. So just open Bhagavad, it's very good. You should read it systematically and all that. But every day, I've been reading Bhagavad Gita since 50 years plus. Every time I open Bhagavad Gita, it's fresh. It's not a material thing. Prabhupada said if you have a crystal, a faceted diamond, and you turn it, it'll continually catch the light in different ways. So Prabhupada said Bhagavad Gita, all the Vedic literature, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, you turn it in the light and it'll catch it in a different way. So the average American, and Govardhan knows this because I say it all the time, the average person living in America has over 350 commercial jingles buried in their head. Coke is the real thing. Nike, just do it. Shouldn't you think before you do it? That's another thing. So when they told Prabhupada this chanting is brainwashing, Prabhupada in his pure innocence and accuracy said if the brain is dirty, shouldn't you wash it? Makes complete sense. So you think about all this rattling around in our head. Somebody, and I don't remember the figure, how many messages we receive in a day. Just think about it. You go out, in grocery stores, they got advertisements on everything, and people learned to tune it all out. Then they started to put them on the floor. You notice they got the advertisements on the floor. Now they've got them sticking out because people, So how many messages do we receive subliminally every day? And we're being pulled by pillar to post by all these things. Take 5 minutes, read Bhagavad Gita, reorient yourself. Go out into the world armed. Don't just stumble out there and get knocked from pillar to post. Read 5 minutes Bhagavad Gita, 5 minutes in the evening. I'll make you a deal. We didn't bring any Gitas, did we? Jeez. Well, Jai Sachi Prabhu can help you out, if you remember. I will give you a challenge. If you take a Bhagavad Gita borrow a Bhagavad Gita, and it has to be Bhagavad Gita as it is, by a pure devotee who's living it. You read Bhagavad Gita, and if you read Bhagavad Gita, I'll make it so easy, 5 minutes a day, and every day. If you miss a day, we'll still be friends. But you read Bhagavad Gita 5 minutes a day, and in 1 month, you don't feel a significant change in your life. You think, man, that really helped me. I'll give you $20. Of course, you got to catch me. No, he's got my email. He's got my email address. But I mean, it's just, why not? What do people spend on a cup of coffee? Starbucks? Is it like $6? Jeez, and some they have a couple cups. I mean, we spend so much. Oh, I don't have time. 12 midnight, you're up there fooling around Candy Crush or on a computer game or Bollywood movie. Oh, I don't have time. So much. We have oceans of time. It's what we choose to do with it. So we'll end there. But I wanted to finish that joke. I'll finish it this time. Don't worry about it. At least it's a celestial sound. I've died and gone to heaven. If only it were that easy. Malati, Davy told me another one. Prabhupada was at a pandal in South India, and Prabhupada was leaving, powerful lecture, so many things. Prabhupada's leaving, and a man grabbed Prabhupada's feet. Prabhupada had to stop. Said, Swami, save me. Prabhupada said, I can save you, but you must do the work. If I were to fall into a well, perish the thought, dry well, I was having the movies, help me. So if I've fallen into a dry well, and some compassionate person comes along and lowers a rope or a ladder into the well to me, is that sufficient to save me? It's necessary, but is it sufficient? What's sufficient? I got to climb up. I got to grab on it and climb up. So Krishna's made it so easy. So please take advantage of it, and we'll do the 30-day home demonstration or your karma back guarantee. Read Bhagavad Gita 5 minutes a day and see if it makes a difference. So the joke. The Brajvasi, resident of Vrindavan, Krishna Bhakta, is invited to the ecumenical convention. And different people are speaking, and it's all, okay, fine, it's vague and sentiment, and God is great, okay. But the Vaishnava, he speaks Srimad Bhagavatam, and he speaks Chaitanya Charitamrita, he speaks Bhagavad Gita, and the Pope is impressed. And he says, can you come talk with me? I would come to my private quarters. I want to talk with you more. So the Brajbasi goes there, Krishna Bhakta, and they're talking. And he notices the Pope has a gold phone. So he says, Krishna Bhakta inquires, hey, what's this? And he says, that's my direct line to God. Would you like to use it? He said, but it's super expensive. It's a long way, so it's super expensive. So don't talk long. So the Vaishnava, he, Govindam Adipurisham, he offers a few, prayers, is just completely satisfied in ecstasy, then he puts it down. Pope says, well, that was $10,000, but, no problem. We'll cover it, no problem. Okay. So time goes by, the Pope is visiting India, and he wants to go see his Krishna Bhakta friend. So he goes to Vrindavan, he finds his Krishna Bhakta friend, and when he visits his Krishna Bhakta, it's nice, Krishna Prasadam, fantastic. And he sees that his Krishna Bhakta friend also has a gold phone. He says, yeah, I put it in after yours. You want to use it? Pope said, I got so many worries, I got such anxiety, give me the phone. And he's talking, and an hour goes by. Whoa! He puts it down and says, don't worry, I'll sell a few rings, we'll be all right, How much was it? Krishna Bhakta says, 10 rupees. What? 10 rupees? He said, in Vrindavan, it's a local call. It's an old joke, but I think it's sweet. And it makes the point, that this is Krishna's attracted by love. Not that we're sentimentalists. We have profound philosophy. But in the ultimate issue, Prabhupada used to quote his spiritual master, don't try to force your way to God, but act in such a way that God wants to see you. And that's the essence of bhakti. We're all loving something. One of our kids, and Prabhupada liked Dwarkadish. Prabhupada called him Mr. DDD, Dwarkadish Das. And he was probably about 6 years old at the time. When I first came to the LA temple, I was a student. And I had a system. It was wintertime. And I used to keep my coins in one pocket when a quarter meant something. Then I had a quarter. This is 1969. Keep my quarters in one pocket, and I keep my bills in the other. And I was a college student, I was on a budget, and I would always give a handful of coins, a couple bucks, For me, that was, a couple bucks, big and generous. After a couple times, Dwarkadish, he tapped my pocket with the bills. He figured out my system, and he tapped my pocket with the bills and says, Krishna doesn't see what you give. He sees what you keep. I was so impressed. This kid figured me out and busted me with, philosophically. I thought, So Dwarkadish wrote a poem that Prabhupada liked. It's very short. And it goes, instead of loving just a dog or a cat, why not love Krishna, who made all of that? And Prabhupada liked it. So we're all giving on. Doesn't mean, if you love Krishna, then you love everyone. You know how to love people properly. You love your children, you love the nation, you don't want to step on an ant. But if you love Krishna, that's the real thing. Okay, we'll end there. What time is it? Okay. What should we do? Questions and answers? Or prasadam? I don't want to keep people hungry. That's not on the budget. No. I can chant a little bit. We'll chant the Lord Nrsimhadev for purifying the atmosphere. But one of the, does anybody have any question? We could maybe you could be getting the prasad ready. I don't want people to, so they know the wheels are turning. Does anyone have a question? Now, I tell you how this works from practical experience. People are shy. Generally speaking, nice people are a little shy. And they're all thinking, well, somebody else is going to ask a question. Now, if you have a room where everyone thinks the person next to them is going to ask a question, what happens? What do you think, folks? And all it takes is one brave soul thinks, well, I got a question, And then I got a question, and it takes off. So we won't take long. We'll just take maybe 5-10 minutes. But does anyone have a question? Brave. Way to go. A brave soul. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I'm the one who's blessed. I get to have your association. Otherwise, I'm all alone sitting myself by a sannyasi, just chanting japa.
Maharaj, it was wonderful when you explained about the clouds and the gallons of water that it holds and how we can believe that Krishna is there. When you say it, it makes sense and we believe it. But when I say it to my friends, no one believes it.
Hey, listen, they don't all believe it when I say it.
But how we believe it, could you also give us tips and tricks on how to make believe people who believe in Big Bang evolution?
They have a saying, and Prabhupada liked it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And the devotees asked book distributors, asked Prabhupada, if they don't take a book, is it our fault or their fault? And Prabhupada said it's their fault. I mean, we try our best. So you just try. And, what is it? What is the first word? Bahunam jamanam mante jnanavamam prapajante vasudeva savamiti samahatma sadurlabaha. So those people that can understand Krishna, it's a rare thing. How many people have the money to pay for a Tiffany diamond? And to get Krishna, what is a Tiffany diamond? It's a piece of cut glass in comparison. Not even that, to getting Krishna. So after lifetimes and lifetimes, one has the pious credits and the ability and Krishna within the heart. What is it? Sarvasha chaham hridistani visto matasmitiganam apoanam cha. That Krishna gives intelligence within the heart. So all we can do is try. I mean, I could give you a technical answer. There's 4 different types of sound vibration. Ultimately, there's Shabda Brahman, and the quality of the speaker has it's a special sound vibration that penetrates the heart. But in the ultimate issue, all you can do is try. And the fact that you try, Krishna is very pleased. Krishna says in Gita, no one's more dear to me than someone who explains his secret to others. I tell you what, Prabhupada said that practice is better than precept. What really changes people is when they see you. They think, this person is nice and intelligent, peaceful, and just the devotees have a vibration that they're not, trying to hustle people or, So we don't want anything. Devotees Atma Ram, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nasojate Nakanchate. We don't want anything. We just, what I was saying on the way in, what is it? Vishva Purna Sukhaya, that the devotees like to see everyone happy. So they'll pick up on that. They'll see that, there's something going on with this lady. What's her story? I mean, if you're in an office, I've had people, there's a nice, I don't want to go too far afield, but they will see by your example. And in the ultimate issue, all you can do is try. And if you try, Krishna is pleased. And that's the ultimate measure. Samsiddhi haritoshanam. The measure of perfection is Krishna pleased. So just try. But don't hector people. The Christians have done so much damage. I mean, there's many nice, pious Christians. The Sermon on the Mount by Jesus is fantastic. So don't get me wrong here. But, you're going to burn forever in hell. If you have an all-powerful and all-merciful God, you ever get a Christian who's on your case? Just ask him this. Because they'll accept. You say, is God all-powerful? Of course, has to be. Is God all-merciful? Has to be. Then how do you explain that a child is born blind? Help me out with that. If there's only one life, because that's what they say, it's only one life. If you only have, of course, John the Baptist doesn't say that. Daniel doesn't say that. Jesus doesn't say that. That's a whole other story. But if we only have one life, how can someone be born blind? And if even whatever the preceding history, why doesn't God fix it? If he's all merciful, he would want to. He would feel compassion. Krishna's Karuna Sindhu. If he was all powerful, he could. So why? I mean, people fall off cliffs, people die of heart attack. I mean, all kinds of this world is a holocaust. And I don't use that word cheaply. So what was I going to say? It actually slipped right out of it because I was thinking about the Holocaust. 66 million people died in the Holocaust I think it was over 6 years, 5 years, 39 to 45, so 6 years. I looked it up. Over 60 million people worldwide die every year. So if you figured it, and I'm not in any way minimizing that, but people, I was going to say about Jesus, about Christianity, but I'll finish this one. And it's shocking. How can that happen? Where is God? At the Holocaust, 60 million people. You've got 60 times 6 is 360. You've got 360 million people died worldwide during the same time. Earthquakes, fires, avalanches. I mean, just horrendous ways people die. This world is a Holocaust. This material world is a very dangerous place. And, as one of the first brahmacharis I ever met told me, nobody gets out of here alive. So, unless you can understand previous lives and karma, you cannot explain an omnipotent. If there's only one life, you cannot explain. That's why so many people become atheists. because it just doesn't. One life, and I burn forever in hell, and a child is born blind. What kind of God does that? But if you understand that each life is a lesson, and you're picking up where you left off in a previous lesson, the Latin root of the word education, it's fantastic. The actual Latin root means to draw forth, to bring out, as from darkness into light. And if each life is a progression, of course you can fall back, but that makes sense. Each life is a lesson, and it's Krishna's mercy to make us pure devotees. And this life is so fast. I don't want to spend too much more time, but actually our time in this material world is a flash. It's like a dream. It's a flash. And if it just takes a quick, we fall into this world because we don't want to serve Krishna. We're envious. Why can't I be at the center of things? Okay, fine. Try it out. Give it a shot. And this world that we make, blind, because the only thing we want, I'll end with this. I really will end, I promise. Suppose I'm visiting the Los Angeles temple, and there's a group of brahmacharis there, nice brahmacharis. And I give one of the brahmacharis, take me to the airport, I give him $100. So you're a nice brahmachari, you use it, you buy some books, you can save it, you go to India, save it up. Oh, thank you very much. He goes back to the ashram, says, that Badrinarayan Swami, he's not so bad. He gave me $100. And they all say, hey, he gave us all 1,000. How does it? Well, he was giddy with happiness with $100. When he finds out he gave everyone 1,000, what does he say? Hey, Swami, where's my $900? Get back here, So comparatively speaking, whatever happiness in this world, compared to being with Krishna eternally face to face in our eternal ras, which is ever increasing, expanding happiness, that is the default nature of the soul. So to stay in this world for little paltry, little 10-cent presents. So Krishna's pushing us out of this world. Get out. Don't stay here. And if he has to give us, I was a lifeguard, believe it or not. I used to swim 3 miles a day in the ocean. For youth. No, I was a fool. So I'd much rather be nicked and scraped by time, but not be so stupid. So, but what, you swim out. You ever see they've got those float? They have those rubber floats, a lifeguard. At least they used to when I was doing it. You know why they've got that? Because the person who's drowning freaks, and they grab onto you. I've had it happen to me. They grab onto you, and you can't swim. You can't stroke, and you're both going to go down. So I hope you're never in this situation. But you got to smack them in the face, and it stuns them. Then you flip them over, and they grab onto the float, and then you can swim because they're holding onto the float. They're not holding onto you, and you can swim. So sometimes we need a good smack. No. Bollywood movies or I don't know what, what people want so many things, I got a sky. It's a smack in the face, and it's for our own good because we wake up and we go for the real thing, the permanent happiness. Okay, we'll end there. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. It's not your fault. Keep trying. Prabhupada told me personally, there's Brahmins on every corner. Just go and get them. There's nice people. I find there's nice people everywhere. Just give it I promise that's not, but just to encourage you. It doesn't happen overnight. A lot of times, I could tell you stories, maybe Prashadam. You plant the seed. They don't, that makes complete sense. They throw down their hamburger, toss away their Budweiser, and wear those Chapamala. That's not how it works, It takes time. But you just plant the seed, And I was getting into my car out of the San Diego temple. It was wintertime, so it was dark. And there were two college kids. They'd come for the first time. And, I was talking, and they were nice, And they were getting into their car. They couldn't see me, but we were parked next to each other because dark, they couldn't see me. And the one guy said, damn, I can't get that song out of my head, meaning the Hare Krishna mantra. And I felt like saying, and it's not going away. It's just getting louder. No? So you just plant the seed. That's all. And let Krishna do the rest. Thanks. Hare Krishna. Oh. I'm not an ATM machine. But no, let's do this. Let's roll because people are hungry, and I went on a bit long. I can do that later on, or I can when they're all sitting taking prasad. That'll happen, I promise you, because you're asking. I'll do it. But what do we do now to get to the, we say the kirtan? 4.5. What'd she say? 6? Oh, okay, we'll chant a little, and we got to remember to get some kartals. This is to Lord Nrsingadev. You know, Krishna has unlimited forms. He can't do, God is unlimited, but he can't do this, he can't do, no. So Krishna comes half man, half lion. And there's a whole reason for that some other time. Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Praladayani. Hiranyakasipu Vakshaya. Silatam Kanakalaye. Ito Nishinga Parato Nishingo. Jato Jato Jame Jato Nishingo. Bahir Nishingo Yidai Nishingo. Nashinga Marim Saranam Brapade. Tabakara Kamalabare Nakama Bhutashingam. Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanubringam. Keshavadita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tabagara Kamalapade. Keshavaditam Harari Rupam Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare. Keshavaditam Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Keshavadita Narari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Jaya Jagadish Hare. Nrsingadev ki jai. Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Go Premanandi.
Badrinarayan Swami.
Hare Krishna. This is a nice little sound system.